In India. We are going to take a short break here on Spark Sport and TVNZ. It's not looking likely, folks. I'm going to be honest with you. 9:45 the cut-off. Stick around. More to come.
Show on earth.
Have you here?
Pleasure, Scotty.
Unfortunately, the weather hasn't played its part, but I know that you've spoken at length in the press and on various websites. You are excited about this Indian side, about some of the decisions that VVS is going to be forced to make now.
Yes, because, it's about time we looked at the future. Got some really young talent in, respected the IPL and respected players who performed in the IPL and give them opportunities, because I think the best Indian side was not out there. The best Indian side is a combination of that side and the side that's come out here. Because there's youth, there's flamboyance. There'll be a lot of fearless cricket, as you'll see here. Not necessarily that they'll win, but at least you will get some talent on view that could guide India into the future coming the next World Cup.
Hard to break into any national team, but it must be awfully hard to break into the Indian national team, especially when you have so many stars on show. But here is the squad that has been brought out for this six-match series. Give us a name in there, Ravi, that really excites you and should excite us.
I think Surya Kumar Yadav, you've seen him in the World Cup. I mean, this is the first time he'll get exposure in New Zealand. He's one player you got to watch because he's a 360-degree player. I think Sanju Samson has been around, but still, I think there's something up his sleeve that he has to deliver from India's point of view. Of course, there's in this side Umran Malik. He's the fastest bowler in India. I'm glad he's with the unit. He might be expensive on his day, but I hope they persevere with him and get it right, because at the end of the day, like we saw in the World Cup, there's no substitute for real pace.
You've coached the side, so you know the pressures, and you know the critics are out, and you know that the selection of Malik in particular has divided opinion. Out and out pace though, Stephen Fleming. There's no substitution for it in the game still. Is it crucial to be able to have someone in your side who genuinely terrifies batsmen?
It's handy. It's handy. It's only one component though, and young Malik has still got a lot to learn, but geez, exciting to watch. Things happen. Is the run rate a little bit high at the moment, but he is just raw and he just rips in. And there's days where he can win a game. And that's the key thing. The more players you have in your side of T20 that can win a game on their day, the more chance you've got. The best team in the world has a number. You go through it all the way, almost 1 to 11. You say if they have a day, man, they're going to go close to winning it. What Ravi's talking about there is the next group that can win games for India. He only named 3 players, and you can name another 3 easy to watch. There's so much talent. And they're spoiled for choice. And that's the big challenge for Indian cricket, is how you use this resource and where you slot them in. It's a big problem to have, a great problem, but it's a big one.
I look at Pandya, he gets the start as captain. And again, you've been a big supporter of that decision. The way he captained through the IPL with the Titans, magnificent. He's earned the right to be out there. And he obviously has the trust of his teammates. Can he be a long-term captain of the side?
He can be. It all depends on his fitness. Remember, he had problems with his back, but my word, he's worked hard. He was a little shaken, with what happened with the auction and with Mumbai Indians not retaining him. So that really made him work hard. And on his fitness, his discipline, the sacrifices he had to make. And he came out fitter, stronger, and was brilliant in the IPL. The way he captained the side, the way he took on responsibility, the way he thrived on responsibility. And, he's the kind of player, he reminds me a lot of Kapil Dev when he captained India. He is mercurial. He can win a match with the bat or with the ball. He's a brilliant fielder. And that kind of enthusiasm that he brings onto the field will reflect on the other players in the team. So he's got a bunch of young players who are, they're young players who are fearless. And I think it should be exciting.
We live in a country where we have our own national team, and it's more a rugby team than a cricket team. It certainly has been historically. And if they're not naming all their stars to go on tour, people are talking. Is the reaction in India slightly different? Because I imagine it's the same. They want to see Kohli on show. They want to see Sharma. They want to see Shami. They want the best players every single time. We know that's not possible with the schedules. But is there blowback from the Indian cricket community when these stars take tours off?
Not really, especially not after this World Cup, because the expectations were high. India had a poor semi-final, and they want to see youngsters. They want to see these kind of players step up to the plate. They know the likes of Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma can always be called back if need be, but they want to see new blood, new talent explode on the world stage.
Coaches like this like seeing it as well, I imagine. Oh, Flem, you know so many of these players. You're in that ecosystem with the IPL, so none of these names are a surprise to you in your day-to-day with Chennai. But what can they do when it comes to international cricket? Is it as simple as plug and play when you're playing for your national side, or do you have to be slightly different than you play in franchise cricket?
Well, you don't, but it is. You look down and you see you're in your national colours, you've got the emblem on the chest. It is different, but it stays the same. And what Roby's talking about here is the fear of the fear of failure sort of hung over India a little bit, trying to get rid of it. In the IPL, these guys are unbelievable. They come out and play some of the most unbelievable innings, or bowl fast and swing the ball. They're the most skillful cricketers around. So it's trying to get the best out of them at the top level. There's not much difference, but mentally there is.
Yeah.
So it's just doing it at the highest level a couple of times, and getting away, getting that confidence. The other thing is about a role. There's so much talent. It's actually defining the role you want these guys to do. And sometimes you can get a bit caught up with picking the player, fitting him in, rather than having the role and developing a player for that role. And India at times are just a little bit guilty of having so many good players, but without a real clear way of playing the game.
Yeah, it's exactly right.
Stephen mentioned fear of failure. I think that's so critical, because of the expectations of 1.4 billion. Every time you go out, they want you to perform. But I think where India can learn is from England. The way they went about their job in the last 4 years in just revamping that whole white ball setup. Where failure was if you do not abide by the rules, what the team wants. That is failure. It's not about you going there and getting 10 or 15 or 20, of X number of balls. If you do not do what the team wants, that is failure. So that crept into the system amongst the other 11, and they play fearless cricket. They might be 3 down, 4 down, but they don't shift gears, they don't change gears. They play at one pace, and they've had tremendous success doing that.
The other thing with that, it's game after game. T20 can be brutal, but stick with players because the cycle is bigger. The form cycle is, in Test match, usually be small, one day a bit bigger. T20, it's big. You just want that one inning, say 5 or 6 out of the 7 innings, you get away and wins the match, great. And England have stuck with their players. It's a good lesson.
One of the things that I know about T20 cricket, Test cricket can scar you. One-day cricket can scar you. It feels like T20 is a game that does not leave scars. It's the goldfish game. The memories are very short. You can have 3 bad games, but as Flem said, you come out, you score a 50, you score a big total. It's all forgotten, guys, day after day. Yeah. Forget yesterday, let's go tomorrow.
Absolutely, and that's how, more so for the Indians than anybody else, because the viewership is so big. There'll be crowds watching. It's millions around the globe who will be watching them play. You fail on a Tuesday, you get runs on a Friday. You're 0 on a Tuesday, you're a hero on a Friday, and you could be 0 again on a Sunday. Yeah. So, you strike a good balance.
It's an emotional week, Ravi. I'm feeling emotional.
It's a good week, yeah. It's a good week, but then that's the way it goes. The ebb and flow of T20 cricket is fabulous.
I'll tell you what, there's a few IPL finals that I can remember pretty clearly. Still in the middle of the night, about 1 a.m.
Yeah. I could ask you technical questions about the game and about coaching, but I want to ask you a more emotional question. How do you, as a coach, look at a player in the eyes? If you see that fear, how do you go about calming them down, just reassuring them that they're in the team for a reason and to go out and play? Because you must at times have felt like that was almost a full-time role.
Yes, and I think as a coach, as Flem would know, understanding the mindset of an individual is very important. With certain guys, you might have to just push them against a wall with your hand up and let them know across their face that this is what is needed. Yet another guy, you might have to just take him aside, have a quiet chat and tell him, it's a game, you will fail, but, you have the talent to deliver the goods. And this is what the team expects from you. We'll be behind you, but don't be afraid in executing your skills.
And you've got to do all of that while you're under enormous pressure as well.
Absolutely.
So you're blocking the noise from here and then trying to shelter these guys.
Absolutely. Yeah, as a coach of India, you've got to have your skin has to be hide. It has to be the toughest hide in the world, because, there's always a gun pointing at you, right? It's win, 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 and nothing else.
Hopefully that's a metaphor, not literally. Flem, I mean, you've always been very good at identifying people and personalities and understanding what makes them tick. In your experience now in IPL cricket, is that a huge part of the job for you? Is just to get guys in the right mindset every single match day to get the best out of them?
Well, it's understanding character. When you pick, it goes right back to when you pick a player. You look at the skills and what they bring to the playing side of things, but it's the character of the player. You talked about Pandya there. He's the type of guy I see that gets better with a challenge. And that's the sort of type of people you're trying to pick. But again, there's so many people who can play a beautiful cover drive. You can get lulled into that, but quietly you just weed out the people who don't have the character in the big moments, and you develop the ones that do. But it's your behaviours. It's one thing you say, hey, you're in the team, then you drop them. That then sort of flows through the team. So your behaviours also have to reflect that calmness and that security and confidence that they're looking for.
Calmness in the chaos, Ravi. And, you know, for many New Zealanders watching this broadcast tonight, they wouldn't have had a chance to go to India, tour with the Black Caps, or to go to an IPL fixture. Just paint us a picture of sometimes just how intense it can be for Indian cricketers and for those who are famous in the game as you are, to get around in their daily lives.
Oh, it's tough. It's very tough. And especially with the scrutiny and the spotlight of the modern era. It's much more difficult. In our times, you know, you had 2 television channels at the most. You know, you had a little bit of print media, very little electronic media. Yeah. Today, with social media, the 24/7 different platforms, the OTT platforms.
And places to land your helicopter.
and places to land your helicopter. That's true, you know, and you will be under the scrutiny. You know, you will be under the spotlight. And, you know, another addition is the number of news channels that exist in India. And they want stories. You know, so sometimes things are taken out of context, and which then makes the cricketer a little apprehensive. You know, he's not that prepared to come in front of the media and be a normal human being. So, you know, these are the kind of things the modern day cricketer has to go through. But with it comes the perks. So, you know, you got to tell yourself, this is your profession. You hang in there for 7, 8, 10 years. You don't have to do anything for the rest of your life because the bucks are big, but it comes with, you know,